Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing well. This week's episode of Top Knockouts, episode 14, and boy, do I have some interesting knockouts for you. And when I say interesting, I mean diverse. And when I say diverse, I don't necessarily mean that type of diverse. I just mean that I have some brutal knockouts, ones where you kind of watch them out of your peripheral because you feel uncomfortable staring at them. Because in a different setting, that knockout might be in a documentary one day. And then obviously the knockouts that are they're just beautiful in execution. And I don't mean the execution of the opponent, I just mean the execution of the strike. Super technical, and I'd compare it to art, because you have art pieces that are renowned not because it's beautiful. Some person might try and convince you it's beautiful in this sick abstract way, but it's renowned because it has this ominous feel to it, like the Scream. And then you get pieces like the Mona Lisa, and it's just a piece of art. Yeah, I did that. It's just beautiful, the intricacies that goes into it, the execution, and knockouts, they're the same. Now, with that being said, I don't know about art, but I have seen people stick a banana to a wall and call it art. So basically, art is just a matter of opinion. And if you're new to this series, what I do is prior to every fight night event, prior to every pay-per-view event, I look at all of the fighters competing on the main card of that event, and I don't look at them thinking, I look at their best knockout wins within the UFC, and then I take the best one, and then I just rank them. Fairly simple. So that's it. So before I start the video, just a friendly reminder, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and notification bell. I would really appreciate it. It'd be awesome. You're awesome. Let's go. So starting off this week's list at number 5, Rafael Fiziev versus Renato Moicano. So Rafael Fiziev started his UFC career with a loss, a knockout loss. And as a Fiziev fan, that just didn't happen. Then he went on a 6-fight winning streak. And in the third fight of this 6-fight winning streak, he fought Renato Moicano on the 12th of December 2020. And with a minute and roughly 10 seconds left, Rafael Fiziev landed 2 hooks and a sinker, which might be a title for the worst romantic movie you will ever watch. Starring a girl that loves fishing, and she catches a fish, and one of the fish turns out to be a man. I don't know. And that proceeded to drop Renato Moicano. Then Rafael Fiziev landed an anchor on his head. And watching this, initially I thought early stoppage. But then I saw Renato try and get up. And it looked like his favorite imitation of the stanky leg. Nothing good would have happened had Renato been allowed to continue in that fight. And I think referees probably have the worst job in the world, because if he stops it too late, then he becomes an accomplice to murder. If he stops it too early, then he prevents us from witnessing absolute violence. So there's just no winning. But this was the right call to make. Started with the left hook to the body, then right hook over the top, left hook to finish it off. Renato drops down to the canvas and a elbow to finish it. That is a beautiful combination from Rafael Fiziev. A beautiful knockout, definitely warranted being number 5 on this list. And at number 4, Khalil Rountree versus Anthony Smith. Now, prior to the Alex Pereira fight, Khalil Rountree was on a 5-fight winning streak. And the 5th fight of this 5-fight winning streak, he fought Anthony Smith on the 9th of December 2023. Now, already 2 knockouts on this list. Both of them happened in December. Early Christmas present, what am I getting? CTE and PTSD. In the first minute of the 3rd round, Khalil Rountree landed a right uppercut followed by a straight left, sent Anthony back like a blast wave, and basically finished the fight with intimidation. Because as soon as Anthony dropped to the ground, Khalil Rountree raised his right hand, preparing to land hammer fists. And we've seen previously, when Khalil lifts up his right hand in preparation to land hammer fists, he is bringing those hammer fists from the second level, basically dropping it on your head. He lifts his hand to the ceiling and basically as much force as he could possibly generate comes down with those hammer fists. And we saw it in previous fights. So the referee knew as soon as Khalil raised that right hand, that devastation was gonna follow, and that's why the referee stopped the fight. If you took that image and you put that in a different setting and you put a spear in Khalil's hand, it would look like he is preparing to put an end. Put an end to something permanently. A brutal knockout for Khalil Rountree versus Anthony Smith, and honestly a perfect stoppage by the referee, because once again nothing good would have happened if the referee allowed this to continue. Khalil Rountree gets a number 4 spot on this list. Then at number 3, Curtis Blaydes versus either Alistair Overeem or Shamil Abdurakhimov. Now, first of all, Curtis Blaydes' elbows could be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame for these 2 knockouts alone. I'm gonna show you both, and I would appreciate if you let me know in the comment section which one do you think is worse. And by worse, I mean better. I mean worse to look at. So starting off with Curtis Blaydes versus Shamil Abdurakhimov, happened on the 7th of September 2019. The second round, Curtis Blaydes took Shamil down, proceeded to land one elbow. After landing that elbow, Curtis looked somewhat hesitant to throw anything else. It was like he knew that was enough. He proceeded to land a right, but then immediately the ref stepped in, and it was awkward seeing it because you don't really know what the referee is seeing. And then Shamil stood up, and then you saw the fact that Curtis Blaydes busted his nose with one elbow, and it looked like somebody spilled paint on Shamil's face. Definitely a devastating elbow. But believe it or not, if I tell you that the next one is worse. And with that being said, viewer discretion is advised. What I'm about to show you next looks like it could be in the epilogue of a horror movie. Curtis Blaydes versus Alistair Overeem, 2018, the 9th of June, 3rd round. Curtis Blaydes takes down Alistair Overeem. After jockeying for position, he finds himself in Alistair's guard and proceeds to land an elbow, which doesn't look that bad until you watch the replay and you immediately see after landing that elbow, he opens up Alistair's face. But then Curtis decides to continue a barrage of elbows with one designated landing spot over Overeem's face and his forehead. And the aftermath of this, the consequences, is after that, Alistair Overeem could have played in the Punisher Warzone as Billy the Beaut, because there was red paint all over his face. And probably one of the most brutal sights you will ever see inside of the UFC in your life. And I'm kind of perplexed because I don't really know which one is worse. I think I know which one is worse, but basically just one confirmation from you guys. And honestly, this could have been number 1, just because of how brutal that is. Once again, it's one of those where I watched it and I thought, okay, that's enough. Yeah, a brutal knockout win. Either one of those two warrants him the number 3 spot. Then at number 2, Ignacio Bahamondes versus Roosevelt Roberts. Now this knockout is the Mona Lisa. in between all of the screams. This knockout is the beautiful one, the perfectly executed one. Ignacio Bahamondes started his UFC career with a win, but in his second fight he lost, wanting to make amends. In his third fight, he fought Roosevelt Roberts on the 21st of August 2021, and literally in the last seconds of the fight, Ignacio Bahamondes attempted and executed a perfectly timed spinning heel kick, which knocked Roosevelt Roberts out cold. Knocked him out cold, sent his soul to the creator. And then obviously, luckily Roosevelt Roberts is okay, the creator sent the soul back. But after landing that spinning heel kick, Roosevelt Roberts entered a dimension that we don't know exists. He entered somewhere where the physical does not exist. It is a spiritual realm. He went on a spiritual journey. You could not ask for that spinning heel kick to be executed any better, timed any better, and the aesthetic of it, it is insane. It is something that if you had to watch and look at it every single day for the rest of your life, you would be fulfilled. That is how insane this is. A beautiful knockout. Credit to Roosevelt Roberts for eating that like a champion. Now, even though he might have not known at the moment, at that time he ate it, props, because that was insane. And that is why it is number 2 on this list. Then at number 1, drum roll, Jamal Hill versus Johnny Walker. Now, people do have a lot of things to say about Jamal Hill, and some of them are warranted. However, we cannot discredit the fact that Jamal has legitimate knockout power, and he does have insane knockouts inside of the UFC. Now, after suffering his first loss in his UFC career against Paul Craig in 2021, Jamal went on a 4-fight winning streak, which saw him become the light heavyweight champion of the UFC, beating Glover Teixeira. But that's not the fight we're looking at. We're looking at the second fight of this 4-fight winning streak, when he fought Johnny Walker, not the whiskey, the person, on the 19th of February 2022. And in the 3rd minute of the first round, Jamal landed a overhand right on the temple of Johnny Walker, and when I saw this, I thought, this is some of the worst acting I have ever seen in my life. And believe me, I have watched Steven Seagal movies, but the way that Johnny Walker reacted, I thought, it's cooked. The UFC's cooked. We're having fixed fights. And then I saw Johnny Walker fall backwards, and then I saw he was out stiff. And to make matters worse, Jamal landed another right to the jaw of Johnny Walker just to make sure that he is in fact a corpse. A devastating knockout for Jamal Hill over Johnny Walker. When I saw this, I thought, I've seen this before. This looked like Johnny Walker imitated Frodo in The Lord of the Rings, but did a horrible job, and then later found out that's obviously an involuntary reaction to getting the lights turned off. An involuntary action to getting your motherboard broken. That is brutal. That is why it's at number 1, because I've never seen something like that. I've never seen someone reacted like that. The only fight I can remember was Shane Burgos, and I don't remember who he fought. I think it might be Edson, where he got hit, and then all of a sudden he just starts backpedaling and just falls on the fence. That's the only. But this was something else. This just showcases how much power Jamal Hill has. An insane knockout. I think it's warranted number 1. But let me know, what do you think in the comment section? Do you agree with the list? Do you agree with the order? Is there maybe a knockout I've missed? I would really appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a beautiful day, and then I'll see you in the next one.